So part of the big issue for a lot of customers is when they want to roll software out into multiple countries and multiple languages. So if you have any other software, anything that does screen recording and all of that sort of stuff, there's always a big problem, because the first thing is that you need to have a training client on which you can effectively start to capture something. So let's say you want to capture in English to start with, and you go through and you capture your processes and your systems training, and you've done it in English and you've got it sitting there. Okay. What then happens is they're going to roll out, customers are going to roll out over 10 different countries, okay, 10 different languages. So if you don't have our software, you then have to get another training client up and running, okay? So let's say the second language is French, and you now need to get it up in French. So you either have to bring the system up in a French language, and also with French data, because maybe the names of the products that are in the training material are English related. You know, if it was a pharmacy, for instance, and it was English products, they're going to be named something else in France. So you would effectively not just be bringing another system up in French, but you'd be looking at having French data so that it was more relevant to the people being trained. And then when you've got the French system there and everything is right, you either do what we call a re-record, where you've saved the macro of what you've done and it automatically runs, but the majority of people will then actually just recapture. So you now recapture it in French. So you've got the time it's taken you to do it in English, you've now got to do it in French, okay? And now you've also got two source files. You've got your English version and you've also got your French version, right? And now there's another 8 languages to do. So you're going to do that, and you're going to have Hungarian or Czech or Italian or German, whatever languages you're going to do. You're going to have to build the training client, and you have to get it ready, and then you do your re-record or your recapture. So you're well down the line. You know, normally this is months it's taken, and you get all your content out, and you post it or publish it for all of your end users. And what's the next thing that happens? The next thing that happens is that someone updates the software to version 2 or version 3, and you've now got it back, and you realize that 20% of the processes have changed. So you've got to effectively go in and change things. So because you've captured everything in a picture, even on the English version, everything's a picture, you can't really go in and edit it. You've got to effectively throw that 20% out, and you've got to start again. You've got to recapture on the English version, those 20% of the processes. Then you got to build your French version and do it again, and then your German version and do it again. It's a nightmare for people. Imagine doing that for systems in an organization, but imagine also doing it for a software company where they're getting all of their modules get updated every month, and they are selling to 35 different countries around the world. Imagine the nightmare of that, right? It is a nightmare for people. So much more simpler with us. You capture in English. We use the language packs of the software to actually create the French, the German, the Spanish. You can then go in and manipulate the data sets. You haven't got to wait for training clients to be up. So firstly, it's much, much quicker. Secondly, it's much, much easier. And then thirdly, when version 2 comes along, version 3, and you've got to go in and amend 20%, probably out of that 20%, maybe 18% of it is just adding a new field or deleting a field. And we only have one source. We've just got the first capture that we've done. So people can go in and just add the field or delete the field or add the screen to that process. And then we publish it, and we publish it to French and German and Spanish, and we publish it with the data sets that are in there. So usually 90%, probably more than that. It's more agile. It saves 90% of the time. And we have a customer in Europe who does this, and every single time they get an upgrade of one piece of software, because I think they have 10 to 12 languages, it costs them roughly about 600 to 700,000 euros to make the amendments for all of those languages to get it out. And nowadays, software changes on average normally every 3-4 months, especially if it's hosted, which gives the developer access to the hosting system, and he just goes in and updates it. There's a patient management record system that we know comes out every 3 months, and a hospital has to take one in every 2 because you can't be too far behind. So imagine that software company, because that software company sends its patient management system software out all over the world, probably 35, probably 40 languages. Imagine the nightmare that they have, because they are doing it every 3 months. They're producing that software, and they have to create it in those languages. And it's also some software you can get away with it all being in English, because maybe people at the very, very top of an organization all speak English, or somebody says the business language of the company is English and everybody speaks English. But not if the system is, I don't know, like a hospital system where there's porters. Not everyone can speak English. Warehouse people, there are a lot of activities where you really, really need the languages to be local. Even if the system is in English only, you still need the training to be in a local language. You still want to instruct people in their local language. But so all of these problems are fixed by Assima. Because we clone and we capture the objects in the data and we don't take a picture, it means that we can, first of all, generate the languages. So even if there isn't language packs, we can extract, have things translated and pushed back in. So that's an option if there isn't language packs for the software. But it's the generation of it is hugely more easy, hugely saves time, and it's also the maintenance of it when you're getting 3 or 4 upgrades a year. I don't know how people can actually do without our software if they're rolling out systems in multiple languages. And also, we're just talking about one system. What if that main system, I don't know, what if it was a finance system and it linked to an asset management system, which was a different one, and it linked to a payroll system? The process actually cuts across multiple systems. It's not just one system that has to be in a different language. It's multiple, and our software allows you to capture a process across multiple systems that all link together. So we generate this world where people think it's all linked together. They think it's all working and looks like the real thing. But the reality is it's just a simulation. And we've made it look that way. So in the real life, imagine in real life, and you're going to do those processes like we discussed earlier, and you're going to do the English one, but it's now 2 other systems linked in, the asset management and the payroll. You've then got to get them all up in French. So it's not just one system you're doing. And now you've got them all up in German in order to to have the processes cut in across all of the 3 applications. So the more you have, the more applications you have in your business processes, the more languages you have, the more we save. So the bigger problem it is, the better resolution we give people.